Howdys and salutations, everybody. How are y'all doing? Sorry to get a little bit of a late start in here. Had to get some stuff set back up. Good to see a few people in the chat. Again, I think that at least 3 of these are actually just bots, but maybe the 4th one isn't. And either way, that's okay. If it's just bots drilling, we've still got the VODs. Bots chillin'. Yeah, still got the VODs. Close enough. So, last stream we finally finished our salt references. Was really excited to see how those came out. Not perfect mind, but you know, good enough. Zoop this out of the way. Y'all don't need to see all that. Let me dig out where the heck I put it. Yeah. So these turned out pretty well. At the very least, some fun starts, fun character sheet references, and I think even from the first to the second, we learned a fair bit. So we'll be able to keep refining these. I mean, yeah, look at the difference in the boots. Like these, the shading's good, but like this is clearly, like, even if the boot outline isn't necessarily better, the actual, like, shading on it definitely is cleaner looking. So yeah, we're getting better at this, one day at a time. And so we will continue working on it one day at a time. But now, instead of just doing the own character sheets for Art Fight, because there is only a week left, literally 7 days, counting today, yikes, we're actually going to do some Art Fight attacks. So, I think that, let's see. I'll throw this in chat. And I'll try to remember what the heck my other, I know I added some other commands. Somewhere in here. Is it this one? Oh, no, that's what I currently use. Useful to know, not really what we're looking for. Anyway, okay, I'm actually gonna go dig that out real quick because I do need to find that. Just the teensiest bit important, you see. Because we can't do someone's character without citing them and telling y'all where to find them, so let me just dig this out. Sorry about that. It's been a bit of a hectic week. Granted, I'm sure I'm going to say that before every single stream, because it always is. But life would be boring if it wasn't a little hectic. So, you know, all in finding the right balance between the two. Or maybe there's such a thing as having, like, a busy but not chaotic life. I wouldn't know. Chatbot. Chat commands. There we go. Let's throw current target in chat. Because the first one we've got on here is from this artist called Darn it. I swear I said it right the first time. Sakura. There we go. And their character is just stinking adorable. Their Wan Lee character. I saw it just in the recent updates, and I was like, I've got to do that one. At the very least, like, of a little headshot of him. So let's go ahead and pull that open, actually, and I'll get the reference that we're working from. Let's see. Wow, they've already got 3 characters on here, and they uploaded them after I did. They are moving fast. Well, no worries, we will catch up. Well, we probably won't, but we'll at least participate. You know, it's the first run. Wonder if I could make this window a tiny bit shorter. Aha, there is a way. Okay, so a little snapshot of their work. Pretty awesome reference. So that's what I'm going to have in the other window, and we're just going to see if we can't make a nice little rendition of this character by Sakura. Wow, Sakura, I'm sorry. We'll get there, I promise. But yeah, so Salt, we had the blue background. I think this one will actually do better with like a little bit more of this sort of cream colored background, kind of, it's not quite peachy, is it? It really is more like just paper, not printer paper, mind. So yeah, we'll just jump on in here and let's see if we can't get this. First off, I wanted to see if we could just do like another quick doodle headshot, sort of like what we've done with Salt and Olivine. And we'll just go from there. So obviously, you know, outlining, I'm gonna have to go with like this lovely sort of seafoamy pale green here from the hair. Awesome color. Love that. And it contrasts with the red of the first outfit really well too. So, but let's just go ahead and see if we can't sort of get... I do, you know, as much as I do like those little quick sketches of those characters, I do actually base them on like the, you know, actual human head shape at least a little bit. I'm just gonna try to get this. We've got kind of 3/4 view things going on from the references, so that's what we'll stick to. And let's just see what we can do on this. Oh, and obviously, if anyone has any questions on the tools I'm using, I realized I sort of explained them a little bit when I first got on here, but I haven't, like, done a great deal in-depth explanation, so this might be a good chance to do that sort of as we go. I really, like, I don't use... I've remapped a few of the hotkeys, but otherwise, everything I'm using on here is just completely original, like, 2 CSP, nothing crazy in there, no custom brushes, no download mods, nothing. I did reorganize the interface a tiny bit, but I think it's just the Illustrator interface, and then I tweaked some stuff a little. Which, for the record, if you go up to Window in the top left, which I know y'all can't see, but you can see the drop-down. I think it was Window. It might have been View. Let's, It might have been View. No, it's Workspace. It's at the top here in this. And then there's a whole bunch of options down here. One of them is Illustration, and that's, for the most part, like, I've made some minor tweaks to it, but that's it. And then as far as brushes, just for these, like, basic... So, my entire art workflow, basically, at this point, consists of 3 brushes and 3 types of layers, and that's it. Like, we live off of that. We might add more as we go, but right now these are kind of all we need, so I'm sticking to them. First off, this brush is just the mechanical pencil. I like it, it's just a pencil, and this layer type is just a raster layer, which I realize I'm going to catch because I actually... So the two big layer types are the raster and the vector. And I do like doing my sketches on vectors, actually. A little more room to correct mistakes if you make them. So let's just sort of... Okay, wow, I can do slightly better than that at recreating the curves, methinks. I say. I knew I made that first circle too well, and I was gonna, like, it was gonna come back and haunt me later. Okay. There we go. And we've got kind of the head angle just coming from the circle, which I really ought to actually pose that, but like I think the actual way it's landed is pretty good. And then just sort of this center cross piece to add a little bit of depth to it. I'll just pop that one out of the way. Wow, this already looks so much sadder. So much sadder. I think actually like losing the curvature out here was kind of a bigger deal than I thought it would be. But the benefit of vector is you can do things like this, where you can have an eraser. And this is one of the 3 tools. So I've got the mechanical pencil, the eraser, and then my select tool. The eraser, you've got the normal plain one, which just does exactly what you expect. It erases what's in the circle. But then you've got the vector eraser, which is really awesome. Because it can do all sorts of things. You can adjust settings on it and stuff, but by default it does this erase up to an intersection. So it'll erase a line up to the point where it crosses another line. So like if I clear this one out, it'll erase it except until the eye line here. So zoop, and it stops there. So the line over here is fine, the line up there is gone. I actually kind of want that. But that's sort of what it does. And that's why I like it for these quick sketches, because if I botch something, or if I just need to make quick strokes and not worry about them lining up, I can just clean it up real quick. Easy as that. So, sort of back to what we were doing. Looking at this character, they've got kind of a little bit of a younger-ish kind of rounded face, so we're going to try to go for like a slightly softer, like, not big nose, obviously, and part of that... Also, if there's any audio clips or anything, I have been having some issues with, I think it's the headset, it could be the computer, I'm not sure. But if I cut out for a second, like, if you're in chat, feel free to let me know. If you're on the VODs, I'm sorry, I have no idea, and I probably can't fix it by that point. But we'll try. Hopefully it doesn't happen too much. I was running into that a little yesterday. Not on stream, just chatting with people. So let's see. So we've got this kind of pseudo 3/4 view that I do with this style. So I'm going to sort of... I don't want the nose to be too pronounced, so I may just bring it flat in like that. And we'll see if that ends up looking too much like Casper. because we don't want to look like Casper particularly. And I'm going to do kind of rounded on the underside too, because we've got that from, let me actually, you know what? I am going to pull the reference over here. Obviously, this is, yeah, there we go. Now we've got the citation, so we've got who it is. Citation as in, citing the sources rather. So I'm probably not going to use this site actually, so let's just pop this over here. We've got sort of their character references for art fight. That way everyone can see what I'm working with. So looking at the face, obviously we're not going to match the style exactly. We might do something like that in the future, but it's kind of, I find it's more fun when I get characters in people's different styles, see what they do with it. So that's what I try to do as well. Oops. Oh, I didn't think that through, did I? Layering, my bad. Now, how's the way to solve this? Maybe if I window this. Oh, or maybe if I just, okay, windowed. Manually done. You know, this actually fits perfectly right over here, and almost doesn't reveal that my desktop background is from Elden Ring. Anyway, no shame in that, it's a fun game. So we've got our canvas still. This is still mapped here, so hopefully that won't do any weird warping or anything. I don't think it will. So now, like, again, with the vector tool, I can just clear some of that stuff out. We've got sort of the soft over edge of the eyes. Yeah, it's part of the style. We'll try to keep as much authentic to their style as I can in this still. Like, I'm adding my own style, but I don't want to overwrite everything. Got the distinctive, obviously we need to get sort of the distinctive, like, head makeup here. And we'll get a slightly better job of that, because I know it's not actually a crown quite like this. The hairstyle is obviously very distinct. I'm not going to mess with braids or anything until we've got everything else sorted. And then we've got kind of like the neck shape like this. The temporary loose collar there, but we've got the much higher collar. I like the outfit on the left for this one. I like the color contrast that it offers, so that's sort of what I'm going with, since I'm just doing like a headshot for this initial view at least. We've got this, and it sort of wraps around. I want to make sure that this actually looks circular and wrapping around, and not like too oblong. So really, yeah, there we go. That still need to have like from a little perspective, so I'll tweak it like this. And eventually, when it goes out of view, it's actually going to have sort of the flat edge because it is actually tall. Let's move this whole bottom layer down a little bit. Like, the vanishing wasn't bad, but like we really want to emphasize sort of the height and the style of this, because it's got a little bit of like a taper out even. It's not just completely vertical, so we want to kind of capture that best as I can. And we'll loop this around. I'm going to do that. And again, obviously, anyone watching, this character is not mine. I can't take credit for it. Citation, it's Sakura's. So, like, absolutely, just because I'm drawing it here for art fight, like, you can go do an attack on art fight, but, like, obviously ask before you use this character and look at all the restrictions, like I've gone through before the stream and double-checked all the rules that they have about using the character. Don't just, you know, blindly take someone else's character. Definitely don't take it and, like, steal it. That would be horrible. You've got to always cite the artists, you know? They put in the effort to make these characters. And character design is a challenge in its own right, let me tell you. The amount of time it took me to come up with Salt, and Salt is not a particularly complicated character concept. So we sort of got these. Little bit of a soft collar, and then kind of the bigger collar from this piece. Softer golden collar in here. We won't go too crazy on it. We'll probably leave it like that for now. I want to adjust the face shape a little bit. It's looking a little too steep, especially with the way it's lining up with the collar, so we're going to tweak that, make it slightly more of a curve like that. And obviously this will come together a little more once we add the hair. That gives a lot of the actual like back of the head shape. This is not remotely proportional, nor is it supposed to be. Let's see. Okay. Looks like on this one we don't have any human ears, or if there are, they're not visible under the hair, so we won't worry about that. It's nice, we don't actually have to worry about the alignment. Hair part is a little bit off to the side, so I've obviously veered somewhat away from this actually being the center line of the face. So we're going to try to add the hair part sort of on the side. I want to give it a little volume so it's not just like painted on the head. It should actually be, yeah. The hair part's going to be pretty close, but you want everything else to be able to space out from it. They've got the one sort of set of bangs there. And the other set that curves up less, but still does. And these don't even make it quite to eye level, do they? Before they curve up. And the second set comes down. We've got obviously the straight ones. We're also going to have to fit in some of these braided ones. See how they do. This one's sort of, again, looking at this ref, it sort of sits behind it. We might have some moments where it pops out the other side. Got to make sure those line up a little differently. Okay, and then this ends up like actually filtering down to some like slightly larger tangents coming out the side, before the full sort of body of the hair ends up going behind the shoulder even. A few stray hairs coming out. Which is always fun in character designs. Adds a little more of a dynamic look to the hair. Oop, not that one. I don't want to taper this too, coming towards it. I like the way they do sort of this hair swirl at the end. I may try to sort of replicate that, because it's not something I've done with hair. I've seen it in a lot of art. We need a little more curl coming into it too. I'll have to tweak that once we get past this just initial rough. Because I'm getting in my bad habit of adding too much detail before we get anywhere. Let's see, and really this, yeah, so this outline still needs to sort of come down too, really. The hair should, at the very least, meet the edge of the head there. Let's sort of bring that out a little bit. We can remove this headline because it's now behind the hair. We'll deal with the ear in just a minute. They've got this one distinct hair ridge in here, which I'd like to make a little more. Yeah, there we go. There we go. I'll stop saying there we go until it's actually there. And then the hair, obviously, it's not just quite a flat piece. I'll have to figure out how to add a little more texture. Not something my style's necessarily well suited for as of yet. Something we're going to have to work on. And then, of course, they've got the distinctive one coming down on this side to match this one. Kind of do a bit of a twist like that, methinks. There we go. That'll be the start. Just because we're going to see a lot more of this one just from its angle. Even though it's behind the face, we're going to see more of it from not being behind the other hairpiece. And I've gone and done just about the worst grid I've ever seen with that. Shouldn't even be a grid, so just a number of reasons that wasn't ideal. But again, with the vector tools, easy cleanup, real nice. Let's think. Let's look at the actual ref. Paper it. It's more of a series of like almost heart shapes on this one, or like ivy leaf shapes interlocking, which is not a bad way to do it. I think that may be, instead of the diamonds, that's what I'm gonna sort of aim for with this. See if that gets us a little more of a look. Yeah, I think that's actually a lot better for especially for mimicking this character, obviously, because that's kind of what they've got going. I've gone and sent it going a direction that doesn't make any sense. But with that, and obviously we need the line that's sort of the bulk of the hair going behind over there. I want this to sort of billow out a little more like the original, like it's just a sheet of paper. Okay, so that's good for roughing in hair locations. I'm gonna sort of wanna think. And probably I need to make sure that the outcroppings match. So either I need to exaggerate this one or I need to lower this one in. We'll sort of see once we get there and we're actually adding those details. Okay. Turn to the eyes. I know because they're technically glasses. So that's something that we need to pay attention to on this one, that we're not following that ref too closely. And that I don't make melted wrong direction. No, come on, same pen, pupil slightly obscured, looking in this direction. And let's see, we can mimic some of the expressions. We can also come up with they're a little more subtle than that. There we go. We've got that one. We've also got that as an option. That's not bad. I know the nose style is different, but we can still sort of get the same shading style on. Well, under the eyes too. I do think I want this to be looking more at the viewer though, although not not piercing into one's soul like this. We'll have to tweak the eyes a little bit, which is absolutely fine and pretty normal. I want to cut off the view of the forehead over there behind the hair. I think it makes more sense that, well, not this one. I need the eye to exist. As for how that expression ended up looking. Let's sort of clear out the eyes a little bit. Let's actually think about placement. I mean, that's cute, but I don't know that it really catches quite the feel of the original character. Oop. Why that took a second to load. That looks like a VeggieTales character. Again, a lot of what I'm doing on this is still trial and error. This style that I'm using for these like initial headshots, and I don't know if we'll do a full body for this one or not. We may stick to the headshot because that's where a lot of the detail is, and it'd allow me to do a few others because I've got some others queued up. We're already 20 minutes into this, so I probably won't be able to finish a lot of. It took like a week to do the 2 full body art pieces for Salt, so like I'm not sure we have enough time. I'd rather do more people and actually get to like interact with folks and see different characters. Than do a couple of really like perfect ones, like full body and everything. As fun as those are, and if I'd actually, you know, if I was streaming at the start of this month when we actually started Art Fight, then maybe we'd have had time. But we got into this a little bit late. I don't like vertical pupils a little more. I've been sort of going for the wide ones to be with the ref, but even they're like a little more vertical than they are horizontal, really. Whoop, nope, not that one. Let me just fix this now before I attempt to do it later. Okay. The pan tool is a tool I accidentally... Oh, I know what I'm doing. Okay, so to explain, when I'm trying to hit erase, I hit E on the keyboard, but I am missing, because I'm not actually looking at my keyboard, I'm trying to draw, and I'm hitting R. Okay, that answers that question. So there, E, not R. Got it. Okay, hairline's a little high on this one. Or, it's not that the hairline is too high, although it's a little sharp probably. But these aren't coming down far enough and sharp enough, so it makes the hairline look too high. So that's something we'll want to work on too. Oh, I'm liking the big, we'll try the big pupils, but like more vertical than I was doing before. That's getting better. And we can add a little more detail in that if we want to at the end. What are the little simple eyebrows? This is just kind of a, I'm not sure what this expression is turning into really. We'll see. I'm rounding this off a little bit too, and making this part less steep. I think that might... That's closer? You know, I always end up tweaking these things to death, and like at some point we'll have to say it's done, but right now we're still experimenting and seeing what looks good and what doesn't. The rounded edge. We may have, you know, looking at sort of the angles on the outside, we may actually have to go for a sharper nose and see if that ends up working better for this. We'll give that a shot in the next iteration. I do want to make sure that we get this piece. I do want to make sure that it is centered right. Oops. I saved... I don't know why CSP does... haven't done anything to it yet. It doesn't actually save it. Which is annoying because some of the things it counts as not doing anything to it are setting background colors and layers and stuff. I don't know so much about layers, but definitely background colors. And so I think that I've saved something and it's ready to go, and then it's like, oh, by the way, you have not. I'm like, oh, awesome. That definitely won't be frustrating someday when I manage to crash something. But until then, it has been okay. Obviously, there's a little more color on those borders there. Okay, not a bad V1. Not a bad first iteration. But we're gonna come back and see if we can't do something a little different. First off, I think without like, well, that looks exhausted, but without a little under eye detail in this style that I've been doing, I think it ends up looking a tad off. So we may tweak that. I'm gonna make the head shape a little bit shorter to match the reference a little more. We talked about the hairline adjustments. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit, and we're gonna go for V2. Nice looking circle, but it's, there we go. Wasn't quite the right circle. Okay. Obviously with this style, I still end up doing this, but then I don't follow it the way like normal humor proportion should actually work. Because I use these lines to line up like the nose, but then it comes out over there. So maybe we do this. Okay, that's a nice circle, but it's not the one we need for this. Let's think about this for a moment. And I'm open to suggestions, chat, obviously. I'm still learning some of this stuff. Obviously, we didn't even get to the ears in the last ref. I'll make sure that we get those on this one. That's an important detail that we can't leave out. And do, like, tell me if I'm missing anything obvious. Obviously, I'm more than capable of making errors. This is a stream where we learn together. I'm not going to pretend to be a pro, and even pros make mistakes sometimes. So I don't ever expect to not make errors. Sorry to anyone expecting this to become a perfect tutorial on perfect drawing. But we can see if we can improve on our iterations. So, first off, we were going to try a slightly sharper nose in order to get a softer chin, which I think is probably the way that we want to go on this. Shouldn't add too many details yet. Second off, I'm thinking like with the head shape to sort of stay a little more true to the style, I am actually going to try to capture this side and not just with the eye. It depends on the character. Sometimes just doing that with the eye works, sometimes it doesn't. Got the long neck. But that's actually not for the real neck, that's so we've got space to do this collar well. Which, again, I should not go crazy on. Cool. Keepers, this particular song gets a tad pitchy. And I know this playlist got copyright struck once on the YouTube VODs, but the other one we were using, which had worse music and was supposed to be DMCA free stuff, got copyright struck twice. And also, I'm pretty sure it stole a bunch of the songs. So I think we're not going to be using that one anymore. And until we can find something a tad more, you know, DMCA friendly, I may stick with this one. At least it's good music, if nothing else. And it did only have one strike out of all the songs we listened to. So, like, I mean, I'm sure it depends on which songs show up. This is a big playlist, after all. Oop, that's way too sharp. Let's see. And this piece... But I know it's not a cardigan, but my brain says cardigan. Not a cardigan. See if we can't do slightly better. Let's see if we can't, you know, actually keep the line going. And that for alignment, so now we can actually get this. Straight lines, there we go. Still not quite right, but it's good enough. Right, because this is sort of the golden collar piece that's got like, I'd like that, get a little volume for this outer piece. And then we've got like just some layers there. No. That, because half of it's going to get covered with hair, and the rest of it might have to shift around if I change the face or something. But I don't know, it's easy to do. Clothes aren't the worst thing to draw. So I think we were on the right track with the mouth. More horizontal for this piece and not too huge. Plain might be good. Get sort of this like slightly mischievous look with the side curl, or we could just stick to sort of this one. I'm okay with either of those for now. Then, let's see. Eye designs. I want to get more of the under labeled, but I obviously don't want to make them look tired, which is always a risk, so I need to make sure that there's a lot more emphasis on the upper piece. Which with this particular design is actually fine, because they've got that actually going on in here too. We'll get like a little more detail on some of this. Don't need that one. Okay, we'll tweak the angle of this a little bit. It won't look... That will look better once we have the hair on. It won't become nearly so noticeable. We could actually even try removing this, but I think... Not that bit, though. I think having that curvature does help, like, define this face a little bit more. In a way that it wasn't quite working on the last one. I'm just going to get kind of a placeholder for this piece. I guess those really do kind of curve up more. So we've got kind of the hairline again. And I need to make sure I'm trying to look at where the hair is actually landing relative to the eyes. Little up curve before it curls back down at about... Oh, it's kind of... Not quite this low. It's like here, really, isn't it? That look right? I think that's looking right. And I'm going to sort of... This. Get the little curve there. A little bit there. Let's see. Have y'all been able to hear me this time? Oh, dearie me. It looks like... Okay, so either my computer can't connect to my headset well, or there's an issue with my headset. Awesome. Hopefully that wasn't out for too long. I think it was just when that blip... Every time it does that, it gives like a little high-pitched squeal in my headset, which is not ideal, but at least I know something's happened. Better than me, you know, going 30 minutes and not noticing anything. Okay. So if we're trying to mimic the hairstyle a lot more exactly from the ref this time, just because I want to sort of see, obviously I've got the shoulders kind of too wide compared to the head on this angle. Although at this angle, like some of the hair might even sort of be going like that. Not quite so wibbly. I like sort of the less taper as it runs in. Like I think that this adds like a little bit of... Okay, I'm going to stop running over the same lines and just make fresh ones because that's getting a little bit silly looking. But this sort of bump out, I think, gives the hair a lot of good volume. As opposed to like this, where it looks like there's a crab claw grabbing their shoulder. So like maybe... We'll see, we'll see. I'll leave it for now. Somebody remind me if I leave the crab claw and it still looks crazy, because that's not ideal. Right, and this stays almost straight. It's just like slightly gentle curve, but it does come all the way down here to at least like the collar line. And so we were sort of toying. And we'll do that a little more with this one, methinks. Get like a little bit of a curve going into it. Make the crossover a tad more believable. There we go. Yeah. It's a start. I don't want to zoom in on this because it does weird things with the way the web browser works. Otherwise, I totally would to see if we could get a better view of some of that. Because this does also have like a paired piece that kind of splits off and ends up coming back into it later. Oop. And again, this is all in just kind of sketchy stages. I'm not doing any of the actual like final. And the way that this hair is going to end up working with my lineless style is going to be interesting, so we're going to have to get real clever with the shading on it, which is something I look forward to, frankly. Let's see. I'm probably not finishing. Look, it's 35 minutes already. I'm not finishing this in one stream. This is a fun character design, and I kind of want to do it justice. So, let's think about not just what we see on the ref here, but actually like what we've seen from the different views. I want to sort of keep this sort of ivy leaf type deal going. I like the way it looks as a braid. Although I think if I'm making them too long, it actually does look not like ivy leaves, but like a chain of yin-yangs of sorts, or fishing hooks, none of which is ideal. So we'll have to tweak that a little bit, but I do want to at least see how that would look. Maybe if we do like alternating angles so that the points aren't always in the same way. Then it kind of looks like they're separate things. It's something that we'll have to keep testing as we go. Again, I'm definitely doing a few iterations of this one. I don't know if we'll do iterations for all of them, but knowing me, we probably will. Let's see. Just sort of how I end up rolling. I've been hitting E a lot again today. You can tell I'm tired. sort of mimic some of the switchbacks we've seen. Get the slightly more organic shapes of the hair going down. This ought to sort of split more like that, shouldn't it? That still looks awkward. It's not quite crab claw bad, but it's still bad. Okay, I'm going to stop getting too hung up on the hair because this one didn't look terrible, and we can sort of build off of its look, I think, a little better than what I'm doing now. The neck height is definitely causing these patterns to be strained a little bit more. Gotta work on that. Okay, now we've got the cat ear sort of coming out here. I believe it's a cat ear. Please correct me if I'm wrong. We got kind of like the one edge there, and then they went for big, like, flappy ears, which is super doable. Okay. We'll sort of, we don't need to pull it quite that much in. Just like a little bit of it. I'll stop tweaking that. It looks good like that. Okay. And then we can't forget this little piece. Loose bit of hair. And they do a lot with the lighting and shadow on this design, so it's kind of hard to get that in the sketch phase. I'm real bad about representing that at this phase. Something that I'll have to work on. Okay, this actually ends up covering the eyebrow, so from this angle I think it would end up covering the eye a little bit more. Or at least it would be plausible that it would do so. Okay, and I want to make sure this gets the volume it deserves, because that was one of the things that definitely felt a little flat on that first iteration. So we're getting a little more roundness to the hair. Let's see. Oh, man, I cut out again. I was just looking at it. I need to figure out what's going on with this. I don't know if it's the headset or the computer, but it wasn't doing this last week. It is real annoying. Well, it wasn't doing it last week. It started on... See, it went and did it again. Is it something in the Spotify audio or certain sound pitches like breaking my sound output? That would be ridiculous. That would be utterly ridiculous. And yet, it's as possible as anything. So once again, we've sort of got... Probably ought to cut the design off in terms of the art like a little higher, but I want to get these hair details. They're fun. Got kind of this bit. Oh, and I'm noticing that they do this on a few of them, but especially on this view, less so on this one where it's a little freer, but like it does sort of like taper outward before it gets to the end. Not quite that extremely, mind, but you can sort of see a few different... Not the crab claw. Haunted by the crab claw. That's coming in there. We'll kind of get this going. Again, I'm making these too long, and I definitely can tell that. Kind of an interesting pattern there. It's not really remotely what it should look like, but it's an interesting pattern. Looks more like a pleated tablecloth when I've got it going like this. That's a wild look. I'm starting to notice when it does that. The frequency is getting much worse. Literally the sound frequency, but also the frequency that bug is happening. That is something that we're going to have to work on. It does look like a sleeve or something. Fabric wrapping around like that. Okay, really? Is the audio going to do that like every 10 seconds now? That's ridiculous. Headset, you good? You worked great for a while. Computer, you good? I don't thinking no. Probably one of them Windows updates or something broke something, as they are wont to do. keep something more like that going. I've got this trope going where you've got the like one stray hair that flings out. I went and did that, didn't I? Oh well. Let's see. Hey. Sort of bring this one in a little bit, knowing that we're gonna have some more coming out like this. If I mimic that view. Add a little texture. And of course, we gotta get the other cat ear. Again, it might be mouse ears. They're very floppy. It's kind of fun. Let's see, that one looks a little bit too much, maybe. There we go. That lines up a little better with the other one in height. Try to continue this down a little bit more. But yeah, like I said, this edge ends up looking fine, especially with the hair sort of overlapping it. The eyes does still end up being kind of the defining edge of the face, but we needed to make sure that we were getting the right tilt on it. Like a little bit of something there, but that do need to make sure that that does end up looking like actual texture. And that this character doesn't end up looking angry because of the density of the eyebrows. Okay, so differences. Overall face shape, better. Overall eye definition, better. Mouth, roughly on par. Hair, we've got, it's more intricate, but I don't know that it's actually an improvement on some of that. We'll have to do some tweaks. Definitely some of the pieces are better. Ears, obviously, are better in that they exist. Outfit, better on the first one. So we'll see if we can't put some of this together in order to get something a little bit cleaner looking that we can actually do some proper shading and coloring on, and we'll go from there. So I'm just going to try to keep them both on screen while I do this final one. I say final one, there's a fair chance that we're going to look at this and be like, maybe not this one. But hopefully final one. Again, we got kind of the same thing going on here. The eyes still could use a little TLC. I'm getting too much of an up crook on this, and that's what's making it look skeptical. When the eyes are this close together, any little bit of detail in that section just speaks volumes in the final piece, and that's not really what we want. I'm gonna try to get like a little more of an actual pupil thing going here. Preferably, well, I guess they're not really looking at the viewer in the references either. The pupils are just big enough that it's sort of, the viewer's kind of in view. Although even in this one on the left, they're looking away. But I think that this sort of works. And this one was better. Yeah, okay. We'll go for the slightly shorter neck, or somewhere between the two lengths, really. We'll see if we can't get... I'm gonna have to account for the collar by putting it like on a further down section here, but that's fine. Let's see. We'll want some details on those, but I'm gonna come back to them a little bit later. I am trying to actually get main elements in this time. Shocker, the thing I should have done all 3 times. Okay. I'm sort of using this side for the hair posing because that is closer to the angle that we're actually looking at. I'm not going to try to do the over-the-shoulder stuff because that... I mean, it works with this piece, obviously, with the loose hairs, but with the actual like main part of the hair clumping over did not necessarily render well. And while that is something we could work on, I don't know that it's sufficient priority for this, especially since it doesn't even match the ref anyway when we do it like that. In this one, it does go behind the shoulder completely, so even more so it would conflict with the ref. And obviously, there's times when it's okay to conflict with the ref. It's not like that's against the rules and illegal. As long as you're following the terms that the particular artist set out in their page. We've got some restrictions down here. Different details. We'll want to make sure we get in there. Let's see if we can't get a closer zoom up. Okay. Yeah, we can get a little better face detail on this too. Of course, this does have the challenge of gotta actually swap between the two, and you can't see the artist who did it. So again, just shouting this out. This is Sakura. I'll throw that in chat again. Actually, if anyone wants to go check out their account, they've got a few cute characters. Command is current target. For anyone wondering, we've actually got a few commands. I did get the chat bot working, so we did something over the weekend. I'll have to rename the chat bot, I believe, or not. Who knows? I don't even know if that's a thing one can do. Especially since I'm not paying for this right now. I'm not making money off of this, so I'm not spending too much money on it, I hope. It's supposed to just be a fun way to get some art practice in, after all. So let's see. Oh, wow. What the heck happened with the scroll on this? Up. Up. Face. Thank you. Okay. Oh, right. I was looking for the artist. That's right. Sakura. This particular character, I believe, is, Wan Li? Yes. Yeah. Move this down just a shade so you can actually see character title here. For anyone wondering. Okay. So looking at the hair curvature, I think that we got closer with this one. I'm going to try to stick somewhat to this one as a ref. And again, I always get a little overexcited with the hair length on that. And it's like, this first one is mild. There will be more hair where that came from. A lot of the hair is so vertical. It's throwing off all of my typical hair drawing habits. So we've got kind of the lines going here. And they've got, like, just small outswings like this. Obviously, the braid is going to start behind this one. I say obviously. As a matter of fact, the braid is going to start behind this one. But even it tapers out a little bit before it sort of clings in. I should have looked at these at closer zoom before I committed to some of those, because a lot of stuff is much more obvious like this. Almost said obviouser. Don't think that's a word. Or if it is, it's probably some obscure thing, like some title, like, ah yes, he's the obviouser. Commander of the Obvious. I suppose Captain Obvious is already their title. They don't need it. I guess if they needed a promotion, but they weren't really sure where to put them, they didn't have any obvious place, give them the Obviouser title. I think this actually is supposed to be this braid coming out. Yeah. Okay. Let's just recognize this song. Okay. Sort of bring that one back in. Yes, thank you, Spamton. Anyway. And then the bulk of the hair sort of like comes out behind this one. Yeah, I'm not worried too much about exact clothes poses yet. I'm going to get that a lot more with some of the shading and all. And again, wasted too much time doing it first on the last ones. It's not the priority. It doesn't need to be done first. So they've got the ear sort of poking out the back. Because of the angle, I'm kind of nestling it actually in here. I don't care if physics says that's... You know what we could do? We could go for like the super exaggerated style ears. Like just make them like a really dominant part of the design. There's something to be said for that. Let's give that a try. I'm not going to erase anything in it yet, because we're not committing to that, but let's see how it looks on the mirrored one. I actually want to taper the tip a little bit, sort of smooth it off, less sharp. See if that does anything. Okay. I will clear that one out, help give that some definition. Okay. Now looking at the other side. Alright, I sort of catch this. And I'm going into way too much detail to try to match the hairstyle exactly. But there's a lot of pieces in this hair that I don't necessarily have a lot of experience drawing. So I want to make sure that I'm going sort of off the ref initially, and then we can sort of do some tweaks as we need. Initially, this is the third drawing already. But that's how it goes sometimes. Curve needs to be visible on the silhouette, outside of the hairline, and also match in this actual, like, I guess this is the hairline, but outside of the hair silhouette. There we go. Need to make sure that those lines are clearly unrelated. So it's not just invisible hair, but actually clearly there. Now we can sort to start getting the other ear, which is already too far back, even with the tilt of the head. That one's too tall. Beginning to think these are actually mouse ears with the sort of the multiple loops coming in like that. I do apologize if I'm getting that wildly wrong. Okay, and obviously the hair is going to cover some of this up. I'm not super sold on how the big ears are looking on this particular design yet. I'll let the full thing come together before I make a final call on that. If anyone has any thoughts on that, obviously, like, feel free to throw them out there. I am open to feedback. Okay, at least the headset hadn't done that in a little while, I think. Oh, jeepers. I'm gonna have to actually double check the VOD on this one to make sure the quality's good. Okay, there we go. We're getting a little more there. And again, like I said, I want to make sure that the weight of the sort of eye is on the eyelashes on the top and not on the lower section, because otherwise characters can end up looking exhausted, which is not really what I'm going for. We'll stick to that for the sort of eye for now. I know they've got these little details here that I'll admit I don't fully understand, but they mentioned them in the description, but I can't quite. They're not super visible on the final drawing. Not a criticism of the drawing, of course, just in my own understanding of the character design. Try to make sure that we incorporate them, though. So if I'm forgetting those on the, like, no. Then they start to actually just look like a mouse, which is not what we want. That is the risk of this nose style, is if you're not careful, they just turn into animals. Not the goal. Not the goal at all. So I think with that, I'm gonna go for the smaller ear design. To at least help distinguish that. That was getting a little much. Oops. That was a line I actually wanted to keep, I think. Yeah, maybe it actually wasn't. I don't think it was. Anyway. Ear. Sort of get this going. Still a big ear, don't get me wrong. Sort of have it cut back in there. Need to make sure that this is distinct enough from the hair that it like stands out, and with color that will be much more obvious. And this ear is still the best one by far. Let's see. Oops. I didn't even notice the ears when I first picked this character. I just like the full like hair design, but the ears are cute. They work with it. Maybe. Let's see if we can't this in a little bit more. That's made it sharper, but it has also allowed us to bring this line a little further away from the head. I think something like that might be... Nope, not losing that line, losing this line. Might be closer to what we want. Yeah, and with color, a lot of this will help in terms of appearance and stuff, too. A lot of this going on with that type of shading. Try to incorporate that as much as I can, but I am also going to have to do my like typical shading. I'm actually going to have the eye go behind the hair. Uncommon to a lot of tropes, but I think it looks better on this one. For the way I'm drawing it anyway. Okay. We've got that one there. We've got the matching ear that needs to pop out over here. And that is there, but it's going to be mostly obscured by the hair. It's wild waverings like this. Let's see. Ah, no. Okay. Kind of a underside of the ear there then, isn't it? Like that. Okay, yeah. Yeah. gonna try to keep to this style a little more. Yeah, I mean, you can even tell I'm going too much off the ref, because this looks like just flat hair pasted on. This is way too far over. Even if it's... You know what? I don't have to get rid of it. I can just fix its location. And the location of some of the other hair here in a second, too. We're just gonna... I like the lasso tool. The select tool is the third tool that I rely really heavily on. Lifesaver, this one. Okay. And then I'm actually going to see if I can't scooch a lot of this in as well. Make sure I'm not lining that up with the nose exactly, or it will look awkward. Okay, I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to have to go do some real line cleanup work here. Visible inside of this hair. Likewise for this one. Definitely shouldn't be visible inside the face. That doesn't need to come up as far. Nose is here, so I want to make sure that this clearly ends not quite on it. Otherwise it'll just look like an extension of the nose. And even this one, like, it's good, but I think even it needs to scoot even more. Okay, let's see. I think this is starting to look a little bit better in terms of positioning and such. How are we doing on time? Oh, okay, okay. Couple more minutes and then we'll take a quick pause. The hair's got uneven lengths. Obviously that's going to be an issue. Really only have the tapering of this, and then it's sort of end piece there. And obviously there's a lot of lines inside of it that I want to get rid of, but then also I kind of want to bring it down a little more. This is one of the nice things about digital art, is if you've got something that looks decent but is in the wrong place, you're not just up a creek. You can just scoot it over, easy as that. And we can sort of just continue this down, honestly. Oh, not trying to erase it. And then, let's see. Okay. We'll have to do some nose tweaks. We'll have to do some hair tweaks, obviously. Because this nose has ended up just a little bit too protruded, so I may scoot that in a little as well, actually. Rounded nose, maybe? And the hair's now too far over again. Okay, we'll have to do some tweaks on this. Let's see. The eyes on this one. Ah, there's just so many little weird balance things that are just kind of off on this one, with the way stuff is scooted, which is my own doing. I didn't really nail down the face quite as well as I ought to have before we jumped into some of the other pieces. And I worry that some of these styles are like too directly off of the ref, and I don't want to just try to do a copy of the ref after all. So I may say let's take a quick little, like, 3, maybe 5-minute break. I'll let my mind meander and also get up and use some water, because I can already feel my voice is getting dry. I will leave y'all with the music, and then we'll be back. We'll think about this pattern a little more and see if we can't get a proper final design going. See y'all then. Howdys and salutations, y'all. We are back. Just as a reminder, we are doing some art fight art attacks. If you don't know what art fight is, feel free to throw that in chat. In fact, I might just go ahead and do that myself. A little bit of a blurb, you can find my page there. But we are currently doing one for current target, which is Sakura. Dag nabbit. I swear one of these times I'll get it right. So this is a fun one. I know it's friendly fire, but they're cute characters, and they've got cute art. So you can see some of the other works that's been on their profile. They've got a lot of cool stuff going on, but we're specifically looking at Wanli. So we'll need to mull over the designs a little bit. I may go for, I don't want to go too, I kind of like the headshot idea. I want to keep it to that, keep it a little more bite-sized projects that we can actually do. I am definitely doing shading and lineless art though. That's definitely kind of my cup of tea, so we'll have to do some tweaks there to make sure that works. My goal today at this point is just to at least get a base going, and then maybe we can get the flats. Shouldn't be terribly complicated for this character. So we'll probably, you know, if we get the base in a place that we like, then we'll go ahead and do the flats for that as well. But let's go ahead and pull that out of the way for now, so we've just got them as a reference. I do want to zoom in just a tad, though. Here's what we've got so far. I think, you know, it's not quite coming together, I'll admit. The design's not quite where I'd like it to be, and I don't think that's just artists always seeing the flaws in their own design. Whoop. I'm not just going to try to minimize them all into the distance. Goodbye! No, but I do think that we may want to come in with a slightly different approach at this point, because I've been sort of going and trying to mimic the style on theirs as much as possible, with basically just putting it into this sort of face template that I've got going, which is a really easy face template to do faces for. I mean, you can just throw characters together, boom. Like this dude with hair. But it's not really what we need. Goodbye, hair dude. Okay, probably should have actually thought that through before I went quite so much on the hair. Anyway, that's not quite working. We're not adapting the hair to fit with the template. We're just sort of mimicking styles a little bit here and there, and that's not quite what we need. So let's have another go at this. Fresh start. I do still think we may do this, but I'm going to try to lean into the mood of the character rather than just fitting the exact, like, appearance of it. So let's go for a much softer profile. Even, like, I know we had it a little with that one, but we're just going to go all in on it. And then I'm going to build from there. If we're going to stylize some things, we're going to stylize them, but that's a-okay. I think that I'm just going to go for This style always seems to work stronger when I really just like sort of fly through it. Uh, actually just sort of let things take their course, I have found is more enjoyable with this style anyway. As much as the precision is good, and you want that, especially if we're doing like proper art studies and such. They've got like here, they've got like the eyelid and then the okay. I'm gonna try not to get too caught up in form, because I am really just trying to get the feel on this one. Got kind of the white dots, which I do want to capture. Although not that one because it's behind the nose. And then let's just sort of do the same type of deal for the hair here. I'm just going to try to get loosely. I obviously want to match the style in the end. Not the art style though, just the hairstyle. So we've got kind of the long threads that then band out and lead into these fun like little S curves at the end, which I like. I really like that style, and I want to make sure that we get that in the final drawing here. Let's sort of try to actually like capture this around the hair itself. The volume of it going in there. Not just the volume of my song, which inexplicably just cut out. Okay, good, it's still there. Is this supposed to be a turn of forest? What kind of cover is this? Anyway, maybe it'll come together in a second. Or maybe it's just really ominous. Okay, but back to the hair. Again, just trying to keep it sort of... really keep the feel of it going here. As best as I can. Don't want those lines to be quite parallel. You never want the lines to be like right on top of each other, because it sort of muddles layers. It makes it hard to see what's in front of what. You don't want that. Okay. And then, as I've learned with this style, this is the one that's off, I think. I think that actually should be coming from further back, and then that one. Nope, that makes it weird, because it looks like the shirt's like angled like that. Anyway, they've got kind of like a interesting expression, so let's see if we can't. Okay, I have to see what this song is real quick. The Heartwood. I guess it is Pokemon. It's just a different one. My bad. And then kind of got the sort of tears of it, but it ends up too spiky when I try to fit all of the little different little lines in there. So I'm just going to try to represent it the way that I abstract hair, the way one should do. Make sure that that doesn't just look like a full barrier line, because it shouldn't be. Keep that going there, because we really want to make sure that we're getting the full hair coming around. Oh my word. But when I go fast is I start to do that eraser issue thing again. Got kind of like this going with the braid, which again, the braid is the one piece that one of two pieces that I'm missing over here. Let's get rid of this and make sure that we get the braid in here properly. At least in the way that I can draw braids right now. We'll have to tweak that a little bit. Because I do also like kind of the contrasting twists on that one. Makes it look like actually like a drawing in motion, which is always good. Little character. Let's see. We do still want it to make sure that this ends up being recognizable as the character, of course. Otherwise, we've gone and done this completely wrong. But there's a few more details we can add in here. Let's think about actual position relative to the head. This head has ended up fairly narrow. I think that but I think it needs to be more volume on this side is the issue. Obviously, that needs to sort of translate its way down and through some of these other ones too. Not quite to that degree. At this point, I'm just sort of feeling it out. As I'm sure you can tell with this. We're just adjusting a little bit, tweaking until we get something that looks right. Because this side obviously isn't quite getting there. Maybe we need one contrasting one to sort of give like the downward motion, the overall. There we go. That's getting a little better. I don't think that's what I wanted to do. Okay, and the fact that this lines up right with the hair will be less of an issue when we get color, but still it's not ideal. Okay, that's better for that. We want to make sure we get these ears in the right place. So I'm trying to think about them relative to the head. we got the zigzag there. Then I do like making sure that we get the, like, sort of the flop in it. Make sure we get, like, the actual volume of the ear going there. So not this one. There we go. We'll see if we can't. Not doing it. Oop, nope, not the erasers again. Ah, the erasers. Greatest threat of them all. Okay. Need to see if we can't actually just bring the hair lining up. Maybe if we just, you know, quietly lose that piece of the hair. See if we can't capture its feel from in here. There we go. Now we've sort of got the hair still going and still working right. Oh, ah. Let's see. Yeah, tiredness is definitely shown on this one. It was not a long weekend, but it was a busy weekend. It was fun. It was definitely a fun weekend. But it has worn me out. Let's exaggerate the ear a little. We don't have to go crazy on it, but we can definitely lean into it a little more. Sort of try to get the same thing going on this other side. I know that the ears are sort of facing each other, facing the same way in this reference, whereas this one they're both sort of facing outward. Part of that's just the perspective. But I do want to make sure that we're capturing all of that correctly. This probably doesn't need to be as tall. Up and then sort of taper it in more there. And there, I think that maybe we can get like a little more curve. There we go. That kind of looks more like it's distinct enough from the hair now when it's got its own distinct like sweeps and motions. So I think that that's going to work better for what we're looking for here, which is good. Okay. So this, obviously it still looks different from the original, but that is kind of what we were going for. I like the sort of rounder, softer face appearance. I like kind of the lean that we've got going on it, although I'll lessen the lean a tiny bit. Kind of do the eyebrows over the hair. I found the hair may have too much, may have a little too much detail in it for that to really look good. For the way, like, because I'm doing lineless, that sort of gets a little more complicated. Okay, but let's see. Yeah, I like that the hair's like clearly going a little wild on this one, which is a-okay. Okay. I guess the way I've done the neck on this one, it really is like sort of leaning in towards the viewer, which means I think if they're leaning towards us, why the? Okay, yeah, something like that. Well, if I want them leaning directly towards us and not just sort of slightly to the side. Let's see. And we can sort of exaggerate the collar and such a little bit too. Really lean into this as the look. It works. That's how it works. Okay. That way, that'll give us a little space to get some of the color for the rim as well. Let's see. Get these, obviously. Then probably won't do any more than that, but what I am going to do is sort of like what we did last time. I do think that I want to, whoops, okay, good enough. Selection pen, let's extend this selection just a tad bit into something actually usable. Make sure we get the things that we're trying to get. Make sure that we're not getting the things that we're not trying to get. Okay, that's a little better. We'll scoot this up a little bit so that the hair's actually going down over the shoulders. Because otherwise it definitely looks a little off when they're not, don't you think? Nope. Doing this, let's get the vector a tiny bit more precise. Neck should not be visible through the collar, typically. Not a transparent collar to my knowledge. Well, I can wait. This is the one I need to toss. There we go. Okay, so I think this may end up being closer to what we end up going with. As far as line work goes, the ear detail is good. The face shape obviously was always going to end up looking quite different. I think this at least looks reasonable enough. We've still got the braids in here, although they're mostly out of view, unfortunately, but that's okay. We'll still make sure that we work them in. So, yeah, see, there we go. 5-minute break, and then boom, we've got one that's more workable. Oops, not the rotate tool. Yeah, this one ends up looking a little too much animal. I like the hair on this one. It's really dramatic, actually. Oh, I like the hair on that one. Maybe... Now the question is, because this one also has really good ears too, the weakness is the actual face design itself. What if we see if we can merge these two designs? It's a crazy thought. It'll probably not work. But, I mean, why not give it a shot? You know, we're here as much to learn as we are to anything else. So let's have a go at it. I am just going to use big ol' selecty pen and take you. And we're just going to, well, first we're going to zoom out a tiny bit. We're just going to scoot you right over here. Okay. Now, let's, I'm even going to put the original ref away now. So say goodbye to Wan Li OG for a moment. Again, check out Sakura. Absolutely check out Sakura for the original designs here. They're fantastic. I mean, I just saw them in the queue of like recent editions, and I was like, yeah, I want to make sure I draw this character. It's super cute. So we'll just pop that out of the way. We'll go back to full screen here. And save. And we're just going to see if we can merge this face design into this one's actual, like, everything else design. Although not the clothes. The clothes on this one are a little rough. I didn't really improve them a whole lot, sketch to sketch. That's something that I'll have to work on. But I actually kind of love how the braid turned out on this one too. Man, okay. So what I'm going to do is, before we mess with anything, I'm going to a new layer. And I'm not going to try to, like, mimic on... Okay, no. This layer. And I'm not trying to mimic it exactly. At the end, I'm just trying to sort of get the pieces in here that we want to get without destroying the outer, like, the hair and everything. So in the end, I am going to go ahead and, like, not try to recreate everything. Okay. But we got kind of the curve. I say I'm trying to do this in a non-destructive way, and then I go and draw on the exact same layer. Like a madman. Okay, wait. I want to make sure that this is sort of the prominent part of the face. Bring that curve in. And then the eyes actually tilting with the head is good. Fact of the matter is that this head isn't quite as tilted as this one, but even so, like, it wouldn't take much for it to get that way. The hair is pretty close as is. So let's just give this a test real quick. Got the eyes sort of lower down on the face, which is, I mean, technically where they should be on an actual person, but again, we're sort of working with actual art. This is very stylized art for both my drawing and the original. So, like, obviously, We don't necessarily have to stick to reality exactly. But in this case, I think it's good, proportions-wise. That one we sort of ended up with more of a forward loop like this. We'll see if that ends up being the way we want to do it. Let's see. Some of the hair on this original one I like, some of it I don't. Let's see how the face alone is looking. I need to get like a little more curve going there to... Yeah, that second one, not the first one. The eyes, I don't want the eyes to run into each other. Maybe I do. It's an interesting bit of volume to them when they do that, I'll admit. Okay. So then, let's see how we want to do this. Because we've got, like, the original head shape should really only end up going, like, around here somewhere. Going back down to the neck. And then a lot of the volumes in the actual, like, ears and such. And, I may, maybe we do a fresh hair. We follow sort of the style of this one, and because they both have good pieces. Like, this has the great dynamic pieces. I actually really like how the braids look on this one, too. Even if they don't look like braids. But then the top part of the hair is way better on this one. The ears are good on both. They're different on both, but they're good on both. So I think, yeah, let's start working, seeing if we can't find the best of both worlds. Maybe I am going to build all this again from scratch. Exactly like I said I wouldn't. But such is the way. Okay. First off, again, we sort of bring this down. It's off to the side. Comes through like here. We've got kind of the loose hair there, a little bit of a contrasting one. I'm pulling more from this one for the top hair, of course, like I was saying. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this line because it's sort of in the way now. And we know roughly where the head is, so the hair volume should abide by it fairly well. And this kind of peeks in with this one. I'll decide ears at the end. I like this one sort of coming through and landing right on top. Sort of skimming off the top almost. Get our doubles there. Let's see, don't need the head outline on this side either. Not anymore, now that we've sort of got the hair as a reference point. I like the more dynamic curve on this one. I think that's better, and it defines the original hairline well. Kind of the flatter hair on the top with this style. I like how that's turned out. Oh, yep, and I almost did the too skinny of head again. No, okay, hair comes down like that. Okay, but then now we've got some of the other detailed... Again, we'll figure out the ears when we figure out the ears. And, like, I like this piece. And I like the braid on this side a lot. Like, even if it looks sort of, like, really funky as a style, I actually kind of... Like, it looks more like fabric folds. But I love drawing fabric folds, so, like, that is absolutely my jam. Recreation, not quite as good. Let's see if we can't do a slightly better job on that. Issue being, I think I've got slightly too big of a... I don't know if I've changed my brush size this whole time. I think when I'm trying to follow the lines exactly, though, it might be more helpful to have the slightly smaller brush. Okay, let's see. The base of the lo-fi there was just, like, taking all my focus there for a minute. Okay, but then for ones like this, and like this, I think that I actually like the more dynamic, actually get kind of like almost like a ribbony look to it, where it sort of folds over on itself. I really get the hair going like that. And like I was saying at the very beginning, the softer curve as it comes in adds good, interesting volume to it. Once again, this one we've got the straight down as an option, but I think it's more exciting when we don't do it that way. We can still get a little bit of that flick back, though. Okay, so again, want the tapered in the neck a little more. And then 2, a lot of that's getting covered up with hair anyway. This one I'm going to cover or copy more from the rightmost design here. But obviously we're still like actually having some flexibility with it. I'm not just trying to copy and paste off of these exactly. Again, if I toss the lower layer, how are we looking so far? We're coming together, we're coming together. Gotta match the level of detail on the different sides though, which is challenging. Now let's see if we can't sort of replicate this braid style a little bit. And just sort of continue it down until we get sort of a similar flick out like that. Maybe we even lean it out a little further. Hit it where it's, you can sort of see it's starting to tilt. And then again, we'll figure out the ears when we figure out the ears. This is head outline, the last little piece of it that we don't need. But once we figure out the ears, I do still kind of like having like a little bit of an outswing, like even before we get to the big one. But I'm not sure it really fits. It does. These sort of upward. We do want to, actually looking at the original ref, which I'll admit I do still have open another window, having it fling up kind of fits better. We'll do this with the hair again. But then I'm also going to have like another one of these wild. It shouldn't get bigger as it gets further though. Let's maybe toss that. Let's see. I think the triangle's a little too abrupt. But I think that maybe if it just sort of like blends its way back into the rest of the hair, we'll see if that works. I'm not sure that works. No, I think it'd be better if I just actually had it end like right there even. Sort of like flinging out. You get like a little bit more of this. And then let's see. Ears, ears, ears. We've got good ear options. They're both decently true to model. This one's like a little more dynamic. I kind of enjoy like the sharp edges of it compared to everything else. This one, though, is like really clean looking. So let's just sort of see. Well, we can try it with both of them. We have the power. That doesn't look terrible. Let's see. I feel like I'm missing a detail over here, though. Oh, yep, there's the line. I was drawing as though this line was actually here, which it could be, in a way. There we go. That actually ends up sort of... Oh, no, I don't use that one. I meant to use the eraser. Oh, we found out the hotkey on the other side of the erase. Okay, let's see. This... What's going on with this? This doesn't line up right. There's some weird physics happening with this one. Namely, because there we go. It shouldn't be attached. It should be its own sort of thing. And it was, I just was interpreting that as the shoulder for some reason. This might be like a little too thick of a strand of hair for where it is. I have to tweak that one a little bit. Give a little more focus on the braids there. This... Okay, this isn't supposed to be coming out of that piece. That may be part of the challenge here. Now if we go back to it being more like this, it makes a bit more sense. I think I've got a few too many things going on with some of the silhouette here. Let's see. I do still like this ribbon, but I do need to, or this ribbony piece of hair. but I need to make sure it makes actual sense that it's coming out of somewhere. It doesn't exactly flow. I'm sure I could make it flow with, like, not too much work. But, question is, do we want to? Because it's losing, like, in the mixing of the two, I feel like we've lost a little bit of the character of either of the lower levels. Let's see. I don't think we need this as a baseline to trace against anymore, so I may zoom out. I'm gonna go ahead and go crazy on the selector tool again. Assuming I can find it. It's hiding from me. There we go. Now, the question real quick that I need to test is this going to grab all the layers? Nope. Okay, good. Good. And that green is literally just like me selecting an area, and then I can just pick it up and move it. So let's see how these all look side by side now. I'm actually going to tilt this one a little bit too, because I kind of liked the character that this one had from the tilt. It made it a lot more of an interesting sort of like, dynamic. Like they're actually like looking at you a little bit. Which is something that we can adjust a little bit too with some of the other details here. Like right off the bat I see that we've sort of flattened out the nose when maybe having a little more of a roundness to it would be worth doing. Make sure that the edge of the eye is defined, that this is clearly a pupil. A little bit ominous and soulless when we do it like this, but I promise this is just to be able to make sure that we've got like some of the pose correct. Man, the hair on this side looks good. The hair on this side needs a little bit more work. And as much as I like this wild strand, I like this one right here. I don't think it's doing it. It's not working. So, oh, and just for the sake of volume of like having an idea, because I know the color's definitely not going to be that long. But at least we can sort of have an idea of like where the full weight of the hair is. And that may be part of why the lean isn't believable. Got it. Yep, that's it. Most of the stray strands can go wherever they want, and the lean will still be believable, but I need the main body of the hair to actually lean with the character. Although I probably don't want this one getting too far away. I also don't want it to look like it's coming out of the braided section. Whoop. Hey, it had at least been a few minutes since we made that mistake. It's an improvement. I say I don't want it to look like it's coming out of the braided section. I put it coming out of the braided section. Whatever. Again, with the background shaded, it'll be clearer what's happening with the hair. And we've got so many strands here that it's less of a deal. I think that'll be good. Okay. I think that was the piece that was throwing me off. That wasn't quite working. Let's zoom back in. Let's make sure we still get the character of this face, because this one actually felt like a real expression. Step one, I'm going to clean the eyes out a little bit. This is the one thing the vector eraser is bad at, is stuff that you've like colored in lazily like this. Not great, because there's just a lot of overlapping lines, so it doesn't know what to keep and what to get rid of. A little bit of that. And maybe the ear looks good, but I do kind of... I like the style of this one. Like, let me fix the hair first, and let me actually get like a proper collar on here that matches the other stuff. But, if at the end we're still not quite sold on it, I think that's what I'm going to try to tweak. Alright, I'm still in the vector eraser. Okay. So two things. One, collar. Let's actually put it in a place where the collar goes, not just wherever the heck. Also make the neck not quite as steep. Oh, we're so getting copyright claimed on this video. Deepers. A lot of familiar songs. Well, we'll have to work on that. Still haven't found a good play. If anyone has a good playlist they want to recommend, by the way, like good streaming music or like other sources for it, even if it's not a playlist, like I am all ears. Because finding good streaming music is hard. Um, or if there's a way where you can just play this live and then overlay, like, save the music in a different track and overlay a different song on the YouTube videos, it's inconvenient, but it might be worth it. Why am I scratchy feeling that out? We can just... Alright, say why am I doing it, and then I do it again. The reason is apparently because I'm making the shoulder way too big. But that's fine. Yeah, if we were doing like proper gesture poses and stuff before this, we wouldn't have to keep tweaking the angle and stuff. That is my... I mean, I didn't think I would need it for just a headshot, but you kind of do still. Okay, let's... Okay, has this gotten much cooler hair? Yes. Am I actually still kind of partial? Well, I'm still kind of partial to the this iteration, actually. Any thoughts in chat? Let's see. I don't know why I'm drawing a fun arrow, but while anyone in chat, obviously you don't have to participate. I'm not your teacher. I'm not going to make you do that. I realize this arrow is not helpful when can't see where the heck it's pointing. Still not really helpful like this, but at least it looks kind of fun. Bouncy arrow. Anyway, yeah, I'm not going to force you to chat. Obviously, you're welcome to chill. One of the other commands we added was alert command. It doesn't do anything other than just let people know that you're, you know, just around, but not down to, well, not down to clown, but also not down to just converse, which is a-okay. Let me see if I can just take this one and add a few of the good details from this one. And then I think we may commit to that. Because this one I still really like how it's turned out. Like the hair, the top hair especially, the bottom hair could use a little work. And that's where I'm gonna see if we can't incorporate a little of the sort of braid design we've got going on with this other one. I say once again, I'm drawing on the wrong layer. Okay. Let's see, looking at this, we've still got this piece here, which is gonna be in front of the braids. Comes down, loop up, come down, loop up, come down. And then it just kind of vanishes behind it. And eventually reemerges. It's mostly as like just a little piece here. And then this one, the other thing that I want to improve is this definitely ought to be one of the flying ribbon hairs. No, we still need it to taper, so start a little bigger on this, or just start really narrow and just commit to being really narrow, I guess. That works too. I kind of like the idea of this one just having like the bare visible of that, but then still... Like, this isn't really inspiring here, but it's also not bad. Let's see. Other than that, like, obviously, the collar should be, like, parallel like this, not like that. I say obviously, once again, it should match the angle of the character. Not... Oop, it looks like my audio cut out again a little bit. I need to figure out what's causing that. That is frustrating, I will say. Just did it again. Old move. As I'm calling it frustrating, it repeats. That's an obnoxious little issue. We'll have to work on that. Okay. But, like, really and truly, I think maybe these are the only edits that I'd really want to make. And then, obviously, outfit. We can improve outfit. Let's go ahead and do that. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Oh, and, like, I guess, like, the full, like, main form of the hair. We could definitely get a little more of like a round it out a little bit. Get something interesting going there. That can delete the whole line. Oh, not as bad as I thought. Oh, because it's overlapping with this one. Well, that's my own fault. Maybe we taper this a little bit. Maybe we just make this one like a stray up strand. Then this can sort of... Because I'm worried, I think part of the issue with the hair is we're making it too busy without it all being quite in a coherent direction. And so if I'm not careful, then it really starts looking like crazy and unnatural because there's just no way hair would naturally move that way. As much as I'm enjoying these sort of outcropping wild ones, and as much as they do fit the original ref pretty well, it's just not quite working. And sort of, if that's the main body of the hair, we just got like one. Maybe I'm doing too much of the twirling over itself. Maybe it just needs to sort of taper out like that. I think that might be better. Well, part of me that wants to do that. It just ends up looking prehensile when it's the only one moving up like that. So maybe we do end up going back to the reference on the left here, and we end up making this more of something like that. And it just sort of fades off somewhere into it. Because once we do like just flat colors, obviously that won't pop nearly so much. Okay, I think that's sort of... I think, finally, once obviously outfit fix, outfit line there. Circle should go around that line. Neck should continue into it. Maybe this isn't the right way to solve it. Then the collar sort of ends up off-center, which might be okay. That might be the issue, is that I'm trying to center that piece. Oh, what the heck am I doing wrong with the collar? You know what, for that piece, let's go ahead and pull back the original ref. If I can find it. Yep, there we go. Let's look at this collar. How the heck are they doing that? I mean, worst case scenario, we could throw in the towel and do the other one, but I'd rather not have to just give up and swap because I can't figure out a basic proportions of a cylinder. Like, come on, man. I can do better. Maybe not better than this original drawing. This drawing's wonderful. I love this character. But with time, we'll be able to get there. And again, if I wasn't trying to put this in my own style, it'd be, different story. Although I like their scratchy line, not the scratchy line work, but sort of it's not pen work. It's very much still in kind of a pencil-y-ish. It looks nice. If I square off the chin a little bit, would it make it to look too off? I don't think it makes it look any better. So I'm not sure there's much benefit to doing that. Yeah, that's just part of the quirk of this style. Something I'll have to think about when I'm working on this style in the future. I guess I could sharpen it like that. Oh well, something I'll have to work on. Like I said, like an artist style is always a work in progress, and they never say you have to only have one. You can learn a bunch of different ones and pull ideas from different places together. So this is just one style I've got, but it's a new one that I think has potential, but obviously right now it still has some room that needs improving. Okay, so that was the issue, I think. Let me take the collar lines a tad slower. They say I'm still zooping through some of those. I want to make sure. I want this to be at a tilt, but it needs to be a tilt that still matches the character's pose. That's really going to be an angle more like this. Then I obviously still need to catch this little line of it. Okay. Cut off the vector. Oh, fine. Whatever, that is fine. Okay. Then I can sort of continue this. Continue this one like it is. And frankly, I probably don't even need to go this far down. Like, the image can sort of cut off here, really. That's an angle. The bottom of the image cannot cut off at an angle, but it can cut off on a flat line like this. I'm not going to worry about those too much. Okay, so I think between the two of those, we've sort of got our line work. So now, I know we've only got like, crikey, 10 minutes left. We can at least get some basic flats going. The urge to make a really dumb linear A and linear B joke. I'm not even sure it counts as a joke, just a reference, but that's a pop culture reference to ancient languages, so I'm not sure anyone's gonna know or care about that one. Another time, perhaps. Okay, so those, I remember way back at the start of the stream, I was talking about using the vector layers for the sketches, but for the flats, we're actually going to use not the vector layers at all, but completely different tool set. We're using the raster layers because they work well with the fill tool, and by work well, I mean work at all. And then we're going to use the selection piece here. So the first color, if we're looking at this, we're probably going to want 2 layers of the hair. Really and truly, we're going to want the back hair and the front hair. And there's probably going to be some overlap between them. But I'm just going to try to get the back hair, and that's going to end up outlining most of the form, honestly. So I'm going to use the selection pen. I'm going to get it up to a decent size. Let's see, one option we can do real quick, before we get too much further, A and B. Let's see. Merge selected layers, because there's not really a point in keeping them separate at this point. And I'm going to go ahead and use the select tool again still, but for a different reason. I can just keep growing the selection. Make sure that I just get this drawing. See if I can avoid getting that particular external hair as much as possible. And if I do that, then I go to a new vector layer. And I paste it here. Then I can remove the other layers and I have just this one. Old lines. I don't think this layer has anything on it, but I can't remember for sure, so I'm just going to leave it alone. Final. Layer 4 we don't need. I know it doesn't have anything. Okay. So we've got our final drawing here. We can zoom back out to the normal size. And let's see if we can't drag this over. Say okay. And then let's see if we can't expand it a little bit. Because we don't need to worry about the resolution of these actual lines. Normally you'd have to worry about resolution when you do something like this. No, I don't want to do that. I want to pan, thank you. Don't. Oh. That's... Okay, wait. Hold on. First off, pan. First off, zoom out a tiny bit more, even. So normally, if you were going to blow something like this up, it is vector lines, so it's better with vectors. But you'd still have to worry a little bit about resolution and about the lines getting too pixelated. Although, again, with vectors, actually resizing is not an issue at all, really. So we can just go ahead and make this real big. And so now we can see what we're working with a lot more. And also I can do just the tiniest bit of touch-up to make sure that we're not getting extraneous lines in here. believe we removed that one. Moved that one. Of course, the downside of zooming in is you can see all your mistakes in fine HD, which I don't want. You can see my pen's tiny relative to it now, which is fine. Wait, no, don't get rid of that. We actually want that one. The one we don't want is this one. Okay. But that's okay. So we'll go ahead and use this now, so we've got like a proper full-size image we can upload, and it won't be like a tiny little pixely blurry mess. Okay. So I'm actually just gonna do a little bit of cleanup here real quick. It never hurts to clean your layers a little bit. New layer folder. Because otherwise it can get real hard to navigate this stuff real fast. Okay. I forgot to put... Really? I didn't put any of the things in it? There we go. Anyway, we don't care about what that looks like right now. Its work is done. Let's see. Back hair flat. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and get the selection tool, and we can use a real big one of the selection tool, mind. And this first one, we're really going to probably just get the outline of most of the shape, not quite all of it, because there are areas where this hair doesn't go. You can see I'm following that taper, and we don't really worry about any of it behind the actual character. But I'm going to try to follow this edge best as I can. And where I mess up, we can use the erase selection and just sort of scoop out the errors. Like, I want the curvature of this one to be a little more like that, so we can just scoop that out. Back to the selection pen, and it's basically like just carving away at this selected area, and then we're going to use the fill tool on it at the end. We're defining the shape for it based on the line work. Refill some of this stuff. Okay. And you know, because this is the first one and it's helping us define the shape, and I'll have to define the borders of this drawing in a little minute here too. Let's see. I realize the ears aren't going to be this back hair green, but again, I'm sort of using this also as just a basic, like, let's figure out the silhouette of our character. Which this character has a great distinct silhouette with the ears, especially, and the hair like outcroppings, which is why I wanted to preserve those best as I could. I didn't do a perfect job of that. But we got at least a few of them, which are actually really key to the final figure's silhouette. And the silhouettes basically, having a unique silhouette makes a figure much more recognizable just at a glance. If all the characters end up having like the same silhouette, then even if they have different details, like oftentimes they can end up looking very samey. Obviously, this is more of a character design thing than a character drawing thing, but you want to look for that so that when you're trying to draw a character, you capture what parts of it are actually distinct. In this case, there's a lot about this character design that's really good, and so you can make it out. Try to. Yeah, I don't need to get to a crazy level of detail with this, but I want to make sure that the key contours are actually visible. Like the fact that this needs to curve in and not out is actually important, as opposed to some of these other little ones aren't that big a deal. I am going to go ahead and like try to carve this out a little bit. Not quite that much, mind. More so to make sure that this little strand of hair is visibly different. I'm not sure we want to cut that. We'll see, we'll see. And then I need to get sort of where oops, I'm on the erase tool still. Whoops. Let's not do that. I want to catch this edge. And sort of, I don't think I want this to trim in so much. I'm just going to try to get this outward edge. You may be saying, like, what do you mean lineless style? You're clearly still just following the lines. But yeah, the base sketch is essential. You still need to know how to do that even if you're doing a lineless style, which when I first learned it was much to my chagrin because I hated base sketches. I have come around. Although obviously I still spend far too much time on them. They're not really my forte compared to some of the other things. Yeah, this strand of hair carrying more weight on recognizability than it's immediately obvious at first. But yeah, so that's basically you need the line work, but then once we come through and do this lineless style, we'll make sure that we can capture all the forms without the lines, which is going to be really interesting because we have a lot of similar color pieces, so a lot of that is going to be done in the shading, which is both a challenge and actually really exciting. That's going to be fun. All right, first off, erase selection, big tool. Let's just follow this line at the bottom. Okay. Let's actually follow it not terribly, though. I said not terribly. There we go. Whoops, don't deselect that. I need the selection. I've been working on this selection for a while now. You'd think I'd, you know, not just toss it. Okay. Once again, I do apologize for a lot of the mistakes on this. I am a little tired. It was a long, fun but long weekend, and then just a busy day at work, as it tends to be, which is good. A busy day at work is better than a boring day at work. Trust me. At least a busy day goes fast. Even if you hate your job, the busy days are gonna fly by. Typically. It depends a little bit. Obviously, everyone's job experience is going to be different. I can't speak for everyone. But in my experience with my type of job, that's absolutely been the case. Okay. And because we've zoomed this up, we're also getting a lot of weird artifacting details, like little odd lines and edges and stuff. And so I'm having to make sure that I'm not adding in detail that isn't actually supposed to be there, just because it was too small for me to see when we were first sketching this out. I'm trying to keep an eye on that best as I can. Not doing an amazing job of it, but doing okay. Okay, so first off, I actually think that this green color that we've been using for the line work so far is really nice for the hair color. Unfortunately, that means that as soon as we fill this, we're not going to be able to see the hair color. But I am going to go ahead and fill it still. Okay, and let's see. I think, the silhouette, we can immediately see key details about the ears, about the hair. I think that that's good. I do want the line work to be above it, but obviously because it's the same color, still not visible. So, let's see if I can't... Yeah, if we just apply an effect on this, not darken, multiply even. Multiply makes it visible. And it'll always be multiplying on top of whatever it was below, so it should still be clear. We can also do hue, which I think I'll be able to just set to a specific hue. Let's see if we can't... You know, I could honestly just set the line work to kind of a soft gray in the green family, but still in the soft gray. Maybe not the green family. Let's make sure it's something that actually pops against it. Let's get kind of the blue. Still not great. I don't think that actually changed the blues, though, to be fair. Maybe if I just do red, do solid black, and I hit OK. Is that gonna do it? Nope. Okay, I guess hue is just... Oh, right, it's not dealing with the brightness or saturation. Okay, okay. I'm just experimenting with some of these that we haven't used before. I realize that we're a tiny bit over time. Not pin light. This isn't really their intention either. But if we pick one, it should work well. Ooh, subtract actually is popping really well like this. Lighten is not. Screen. Okay, screen isn't bad. Kind of makes it look like chalk art. We could work with... Let's work with screen. You know, I think that'll be a good one. I'll go ahead and... hopefully adding other layers won't mess with this too much. But I'm just going to go ahead and make a flats folder so that we can clearly find those. And let's do one more, just to make sure that this screen doesn't mess up. I think we'll want the... Let's do skin tones next. Now, the question here, and I don't think this will work, is can I grab from outside the program? Nah. Nah, nah, nah. There are ways, I'm sure, but they all tend to be a little bit more complicated. So instead, I'm going to grab the background color, and then we're going to tweak it a little bit to try to match this. Because this has a little bit of a warmer red, it's a little more vibrant, so I'm actually just going to change the hue a little. And then we're going to see if that... Oh, well, not if I go and do that again. So we're going to shift the hue back again to the slightly warmer one. which, you know, is good for a lot of like human skin tones. Anyway, and let's see. Then I don't want to block the back hair. This part is all going to be front hair. The part I'm mainly worried about back hair is actually this, like, these sort of big swaths back here. So I don't want to block those when I'm doing this. But otherwise, skin, really going to mainly just focus on, like, I don't have to worry too much about borders. Silhouette of the face is an important one. Even if the eye is going to cover most of it, that's okay. Anywhere that skin's going to be visible besides this, ear tones are going to be different. So no, I don't think so. That's an interesting result. I wonder... that what I did wrong? Nope. Okay. Is it because of this screen? Yeah, I think it is. Okay, or actually, I think this is just the color. So maybe it's a little more pinkish than I thought. We need to go back to like something with a little less red. More yellow. Maybe the background color was pretty close then. Like this still feels like it's got it's slightly warmer. Maybe that's not achieved with Q. Maybe we need to actually do like this. Okay, yeah, that's it. Okay, nope. Warmth was right, and then yeah. Minor tweaks make a big difference. There we go. That I think is what I want to go for the flat skin tone. When we shade, well, you know, we'll change that a little bit, and we aren't going to have the textures that they have on some of this. As nice as those textures look. Okay, we've got the flat. Go ahead and re-show the screen again. And again, we're not worried about anything that's showing beyond because that's fine. It'll get covered by future layers. Like this one, because I'm not quite stopping. Clothes are going to have a few different colors on them, so I really shouldn't just make it one layer, tempting as that is. So instead of messing with that one, I'm going to mess with eyes. And we'll just do like a little small one. Maybe bigger than that. Let's do 20. We don't use 20 enough. Now the eyebrows are going to be a contributing part of this, and we'll need to figure out how to do them without the line work. That's going to be part of the challenge tomorrow when we pick this drawing back up, because unfortunately we weren't quite able to get through it today. That happens. Happens awfully often, actually, but that's fine. Better to be able to come back to a drawing than to have to fresh start all the time. Is something else that I'm frequently bad about, is just starting back over again instead of picking back up where I left off. So we won't do that. I like to go for the pure white for the eyes. And a lot of that is going to... oh, the screen tone isn't going to show up on that at all, though. Okay, we'll have to do like an actual like eyelashes or face details, because I do want to get these squiggles. Even though they're technically lines, I think they're valuable for the drawing. We'll have to get pupils and such. But this is obviously a very different stage of the drawing. Even it looks ominous right now, but it will come together in the end, and we will pick that up tomorrow. The line work is always the hardest stage of this for me. I enjoy tweaking shading and tweaking lighting and tweaking even the flat colors and all that a lot, as opposed to line work is challenging. It's good, it's worth it, but it's tough. So, I think that that's probably enough of this for today. I've already gone a little overtime, and I do need to get back to bed. Unfortunately, having a job in the morning tends to do that to a person. So, I will let y'all go for today, but don't forget to stop back again, same time tomorrow, if you want. Obviously, no pressure. I'm not here to force you to do anything. We're trying to keep a chill vibe here. So yeah, if you want to stop by, see how this turns out, same time tomorrow, 8 to 10 Central US time. And, yeah, we'll pick this up. We'll see if we can continue it. Once again, amazing credit to the original artist for this piece, which is Sakura. This is their character Wan Li that we're doing for Art Fight. If you're not sure what that is, feel free to huck the command in chat. It's a great one. And yeah, we'll pick this up. Hopefully we'll be able to send the attack over tomorrow. We've only got a week left of Art Fight, so I want to get at least a few of these attacks in. I'd like to get at least 3 if we can. We'll see if that ends up being viable, but that's what I want to do. So yeah, see y'all next time then. I'll leave you with the music for a little bit, but we're gonna have to wrap up here. Have a good one, y'all.